Hey, what's up? My name is JM Chaley and welcome to my channel. This week I want to talk about book shows, the importance and the necessity of book shows, especially if you are a self-published author. I think we all have this kind of conundrum, right? We're all kind of in the same boat, right? We release a story and it kind of goes out to our sphere of influence, our followers, our friends and family, whatever, right? Hey, I have a new book out. And, I remember when I released The Unlife of Lisa Cooper, which wasn't that long ago as of this recording. It was only in October. It is now August of 2024, right? So it's only, 10 months ago, right? So my very first novel, I released it and my friends and family were like, oh my God, my aunts were like, oh, my nephew wrote a book and I'm going to buy the book. And it was wonderful, right? And so there's this big surge of people buying your book, hopefully, right? Plus you add on your reach, whoever is following you, people that are, people that follow you on social media, they may want to see your book. It also helped that The Unlife of Lisa Cooper was a Kindle Vella series. So I had already built a following of readers who had followed along and now wanted a physical copy of the book to hold in their hands. So I had a pretty good following and I did a really good opening day, an opening week really. But what happens after we release a book? Right? It kind of goes boom and then it kind of goes, right? Because inevitably what happens is you go out to the people that are around you and whoever wants to buy a copy of your book buys a copy of your book. And you can keep knocking on those doors and saying, hey, I got my book. You'll get a couple of stragglers and okay, I'll buy a book. And you see like a little onesie twosie sales here and there after the release. But generally speaking, your big boom in sales happens during the release week. And after that, it kind of nosedives and hopefully doesn't flatline completely. So this is where book shows come in. Book shows bring you to a place where you're surrounded by people that probably don't know who you are. You're an independent author and, you may have, I'm not going to say that there's no one that's not going to know who you are. It's a really great feeling when you go to a book show and someone recognizes you. That's happened once. It was really cool. Or maybe you meet author friends that that I did that. I went to Balticon. I met up with a bunch of author friends and that was awesome. So I'm not saying you're not going to know anyone when you go to book shows, but you're definitely going to have a reach that you didn't have before because you're reaching out to new readers that you haven't seen. They're not following you on social media. They probably haven't heard your name and they're seeing your book for the very first time. So now you can go and sell your books to a whole new audience. That's why it's so important because after you release your book and then it does the inevitable nosedive, you don't want the sales to end forever. So where do you get more sales? Well, you can grow your author base, of course. That takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. Or you can go do a book show. And I did a table setup video. I'm going to link it up here on how I set up my table with all the things that I put out, besides the books, of course, all the little things that people can check out and interact with and the things that you'll need for sales and all that kind of stuff. That video covers it. But where do you go to find book shows? There's a couple of options. One, you can get involved with your town. Whatever your town is doing, they might have fair days or farmers markets or who knows what. They should have events where vendors come together. See if they have a business association that you can join and interact with those folks and see if there's events through them. See if there's writing groups that you can join in your community. A lot of places to find writing groups might be through your local library. Maybe your library's having events. Maybe you can create events on your own where there's local bookstores that you can go to and say, hey, I'm a local author. Can I sell my books here? Can I have a book signing? And I have seen in some cases where the book the bookstore is like, fine, but you got to drum your own people in. Or the bookstore will actually create an event for you and they drum the people in. I've seen it both ways. But either way, you're going to get regular foot traffic of folks that are just coming into the bookstore that don't even know you're there. And they may wander over and be like, hey, check out your book. Another good thing you can do with book shows is you can get creative with your pricing. Now, I've seen some authors raise their prices when they sell their book through a book show. And the reason, the mentality, the justification is that, one, you're meeting the author, you're having a dialogue, you get to whatever, right? And you're getting a signed, perhaps personalized copy of the book. And those tend to cost more if you go through, any author that you want to buy a signed copy. Those sometimes cost more anyway. And that's up to you. That's a judgment call if you want to charge a couple more dollars just for event prices. But the other thing you can do is offer discounts that you normally can't do on platforms like maybe Amazon or other things like that. I'm not just talking about lowering your price on a particular book. I'm talking about, let's say you have multiple books in a series. You could say something like, look, if you buy the first book, I'll give you the second book at 50% or 10% off or whatever. You can offer discounts, 10%, 20%, 30%, whatever, 50%. You can go crazy. I've seen, and I'm going to nod to Ben Pick, author of the Into the Void series for this idea, which I thought was brilliant and it makes total sense. When you're carrying around a bunch of books in plastic tubs, you may wind up with one of them getting damaged. Maybe the cover bends back or whatever, right? Something happens to the spine, or, it's not in as good a shape as your other books. And instead of just tossing it out and taking the loss, you could say, you know what, this one's a little beaten up. I'm going to give you X number of dollars off the price, or X% off the price, whatever you think is fair. I went to a book show and I saw a guy wearing a band t-shirt that I liked. It was a musical group that I actually saw in concert, and I was like, oh my God, I love them. And I thought about it afterwards. I go, I should have given that guy like a t-shirt, a cool t-shirt deal, 10% off because you wear a cool t-shirt. You can do whatever you want. And it creates this kind of dialogue and relationship between you and the reader, and everyone loves a bargain, right? So you can do all this kind of stuff in a book show. Increase your reach brand new audiences. You have an email sign-up sheet on your table, right? Maybe they become regular readers and follow you on social media after that, and you've grown your author platform as a result. I mean, it's a win-win-win across the board. Book shows are so important. You just got to dedicate the time to do them, and you got to find them. That's the real challenge. But don't let your books flatline. Breathe new sales into them by striking out into the world and going to book shows. Okay, so that about wraps it up. Please, if you have done book shows and you've got book show experience, let me know in the comments. Let me know, how your sales have been in the book show world, as opposed to what your sales were like during, release day or release week. Let me know from your experience how your sales life has elongated interest in your book thanks to book shows in the comments. All right. If you like this video, please smush that like button. And as always, please subscribe. I post most Thursdays, and you can follow me on social media. I'm on a plethora of platforms. They're all in the description. Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook are my three most common. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.